Now we just gotta wait for it to flip. And there it is. IDP. Dragoon's worst nightmare, my guy. Goodbye, Dragoon. Fortunate enough for us, we got kind of lucky because our graveyard is pretty much filled up, so Dragoon pretty much served his purpose. Yes, Dragoon can be your game winner card, obviously, because I mean he just pretty much has win in his name. But he in this deck, and same with most decks, he's mainly used to slow the game down enough for you to gain resources with your other engines. So he served his purpose. We have a graveyard full. We can hopefully play through most of the back row, depending on what it is. But I'm going to go ahead and bring out Galatea. Trying to look at all my options, see what I got in my grave. Play around this, play around that. Like I said before, I actually respect this deck. I like his deck. Normally I'm not a fan of trap decks, but I have respect for his deck. So I'm going to go ahead and go into a Link 3. Because I needed to get that Nightmare off the field. Let's see here. I can't really remember my reasoning behind it. I believe it was because I was trying to get the Nightmare off the field. Also, I think I was just trying to push for more damage too. So, go ahead and poke for 25. I try to. He's going to activate the Drowning, I believe. And then I got the Crescendo, negate. I ain't going to lie with you guys. That's probably the first time I've actually ever resolved that effect of Crescendo. And probably since before Harp got banned, like 2 years ago. Well, I know it's only been a year for Harp, but I haven't played Orcust in a long time. So it's been a long time since I've actually resolved that effect of Crescendo, because once people caught on to how broken Babel actually was, you just went for Babel and just never really looked back. But he's going to go ahead and shuffle me up. Got the Girsu. Don't forget, I'm sure everyone knows by now when it comes to Orcust, you always want to be aware of your link arrows, because definitely with the Orcust monsters, they, like, Long can't be destroyed by card effects when he's linked, and Galatea can't be destroyed by battle when she's linked, so that's the reason why I summoned Girsu to his zone, because if he had another torrential tribute, then yes, my Girsu would have gotten blown up, but then my Long wouldn't, and then I could have just resummoned Girsu off of Skeleton to be able to send and continue with my plays. So that's just several things like that you just need to keep in your mind, and just in case if you're like new to Orcust, you want to pick up the Orcust, stuff like that, if you weren't around when Orcust was like toxic. So let's see here. I banished the wand, I believe. Because at this point, I'm just trying to make sure I keep my resources in a constant flow. That's one thing you need to keep in mind too with Orcust, is they can just keep looping themselves from the graveyard and banish pile. You just have to be careful about it and make sure you're doing it right. If not, you'll end up finding yourself completely out of resources because you forgot to loop them right. So I'm going to bring out the Galatea again. I place her over there in that zone just in case if he links to that zone, then my Galatea can't be destroyed by battle because it will be linked to his extra monster zone. Another thing too, a lot of people forget about all the time is you have to. There's a difference between linked and co-linked. Linked is literally you don't need. It doesn't need to be pointing to a link monster. It just the arrow has to be pointing to like another monster, for an example. Co-linked is when the arrows pointing to each other. A lot of people get that mixed up. But I'm gonna go ahead and use use Orchestrate Return. Very grateful that card got a reprint, so now it's more accessible to everybody. But I'm gonna go ahead and set up my zones here. Bring out the Purple Nightfall. I got greedy. It was my fault. I shouldn't have done that. I had game on board right there, but I messed up. I'm pretty sure I had game on board regardless right there, and I got greedy. But I'm going to go ahead and chain to the Torrential Tribute with the Purple Nightfall to grab my Girsu for my follow-up. Man, that makes me mad at myself. Got too greedy. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm pretty sure it's my Foolish Burial that's set. Checking out my grade, checking out everything, just so I know. I believe I go ahead and pass it over. Eric's thinking of his decisions that he can do. I kind of felt bad for the guy. He couldn't see a frog to save his life there for a hot minute. He's going to go ahead and IDP again. Depending on what he hits, we could still have our recovery because, like I said before, Orcust, all they do is recycle themselves from the field, grave, and banish pile regardless. So that's fine. We're not too worried about that. So he takes my skeleton and my long, which that kind of hurt, and then he barrier statue. Now he's got the barrier statue. So now I'm just trying to figure out all the stuff I can do. Pokes me with for 1,000. Sets one and then passes it over to me. Draw for turn. Top deck's Ash. Kind of unfortunate, but not that unfortunate because if anything, it will help because I'm understanding here now. One, he made it off. He told me, and on top of him telling me, I mean, I failed to catch it by myself because I was too busy worried about not misplaying since it's kind of rusty with Orcust. But he reminded me that he's struggling to get to a frog at this point. So I figured that once I knew that, then we're kind of golden because we just got to keep doing the Orcust shenanigans and keep looping and stuff, and then playing through all his traps and running him out of traps, and we should be able to be fine as long as we continue to get rid of the barrier statue. Because unlike Tri Brigade, sadly, frogs don't have a way to protect the barrier statue. So as long as you have some kind of normal summon to get over it, and they don't have a trap to like judgment you or whatever to forbid you from normal summoning, you should be fine. But right here, the rust from not playing Orcust for a while comes into play right here. I'm asking my friends because they're kind of, one of them played Orcust around the same time as me, so he would know. I'm just double checking. I figured you could, but I'm double checking to make sure that I can use one to summon back my link monsters, my Orcust link monsters. So, because I'm trying to summon back long. And then I found out I could, which I figured I could. I was just wanting to double check because I didn't want to misplay. I go ahead and summon it back. So I go ahead and banish. Summon back the long. Man, it really frustrates me the long hasn't gotten an ulti reprint yet. He really needs one. At least a secret rare of some sort or something. He's only got one printing. If you want to count the unlimited from the back when we had special editions, then fine. So 1 to 2 printings. But I go ahead and summon it under that zone because if I'm if I'm making anything else, I plan on putting it in the opposite zone. So I can use Long's effect if he summons a monster in the extra monster zone, because I'll have the other one occupied. So he goes ahead and draws for turn. He activates Reckless Greed, and I have the Ash. Very lucky. That's why I said that wouldn't bother me that much. But he's going to go ahead and scoop it up. We got lucky right there. Stole game one. So let's go ahead and we'll get the siding in and everything, and we'll go from there. But again, while we're siding everything, I'll go ahead and talk about the deck. I really like the deck, honestly. If you have been a follower of the channel and you know I love Orcust. You know I've played him for a long time. I just love the artwork. I love the way the deck plays and everything. So when I first heard people talking about Snake Orcust and how it was like a thing over in the OCG, I was like, how is Reptiles gonna help Orcust? It just didn't register to me. And then when I saw that some that lock you into Reptiles, and then I saw that some of the Reptiles help your opponent out, I kind of lost faith in it. And then I was tinkering with it more because I wanted a way to play Orcust, and have a secondary engine that could help Orcust so that Orcust wouldn't have to carry all the load. And then I started messing with them more, finding my ratios, finding my cards that I like, my spice. And I came up with this list. I really like this list. There's nothing I would really change on it unless I found a way to possibly fit more hand traps in it. Take a few cards out here and there, but outside of that, there's not really nothing I would change. I really like this deck. This deck is super fun. It can contend with the top tier decks. You just needs. It's like every other deck. You kind of just need what you need to go off, but I don't know. You can judge it where you like. I really like this deck, and I really say that you guys should try it out. It's really fun, and if you liked Orcust back in the day, then you're really gonna love this deck, anyways. Because because when they lock you into Reptiles, as long as you have your graveyard set up, that's not going to matter at all. And even if you don't, as long as you have a Girsu, you're fine. Because you can easily get out of that lock easy peasy. And the cards that I choose to run that help your opponent plus, it's not as bad as others, except for one, and you don't even really use his effect unless you need to. He's mainly used as a different name for Water Lily. But I can't remember his name. It's the one that allows you to reshuffle your banish cards back. I know I should probably know the name. Forgive me, I'm sorry. But, yeah. But we're going to go ahead and shuffle it up and get into game 2. He goes first, as a trap deck should. He does the good stuff. Sorry about the shake and vibration right there. Normal summon the barrier statue, set 3 pass. We're kind of in a rough spot here if we don't draw any ways to out that barrier statue. So I'm going to go ahead and try to bait some stuff if I have it. Activate the Nunu to send a dark, but also at the same time fill my grave if necessary. I believe I send Naya. No, I send the big boy, the one I told you about that shuffles your banished pals back. I do apologize, I don't know his name at the moment. I have Naya in hand. Discard Naya to send a light. They send the polar opposite of like their attributes and stuff. So I'm going to send Curse. Okay, now pretty much my snake plays are live for the most part. The only issue is that the barrier statue is kind of in the way at the moment. I don't believe I actually have an out to it right here. So my graveyard's set up for snake plays, but I can't do anything because the barrier statue, I didn't have a normal summon. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it up. He top decks Desires. Banished him for cost. I got the Ash. That, and then he has a trap version of the Called by the Grave, pretty much. Negates dash. He gets to draw 2. Yu-Gi-Oh's fun. Pokes me for 1,000. Yu-Gi-Oh is still fun. Sets 2. Cuts me. Still cutting me. And passes turn. So not only do I have to thick backer I got to play through, I also got Barrier Statue. Luckily for me, I top deck the 1-of, because that's all I do. It's top deck 1-ofs. So I hit him with the Harpy's Feather Duster. No judgment, so I can play Yu-Gi-Oh. So now all I have to do is deal with the Barrier Statue. But I don't have it, so he draws for turn, immediately enters battle phase and pokes me for 1,000. Sets 2, and does he set 2? I don't know. Find out next time on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Sets 1, passes. I draw for turn. My stupid self figured out I almost set that, but I didn't mean to. So luckily I didn't set it. I realized I can out this. So I'm going to go ahead and Forbidden Droplets that Barrier Statue. So now I'm going to use Water Lily since my graveyard's set up. Seeing if he has anything. He doesn't. I'm going to go ahead and send the Queen. And I'm going to use a special summon Overlord over Water Lily since I have 5 different names in the grave. I'm not going to lie. I just straight up shotgun Overlord because I did not want to deal with his Barrier Statue anymore and I wanted to be able to attack directly. So I shotgun it here. And once he gets finished reading it, I shotgun it to send it to the graveyard because I didn't want to deal with it anymore and I wanted to attack for 31 direct. So that's what I do. I shotgun it and poke for 31. He checks and sees what he has in his grave. Face down, I check my grave. I have snake shenanigans like I do, which I probably should have done because I could have special summoned Nunu, pop Nunu. I misplayed right here. I could have had a bigger board, but I want to be able to get him engraved so I can recycle and bring him back because you can't use his effect again unless he comes back again from the grave. So what I do here, I should have, because Nunu, you can special summon Nunu if you have another reptile on board. So I should have special summoned Nunu, use Curse, pop Nunu, special summon Naya, Naya search Water Lily, so I have a follow-up. And then I could have went on from my place from there. But you live and learn. It is what it is. But Curse, he has a lot of special summon back his Barrier Statue, but in this case, it's completely like irrelevant because its effect's turned off permanently unless he sends it to the grave and brings it back because of Curse's effect. So I go into Anaconda here. He immediately Dynamiscus it. So very unfortunate on our behalf. Kind of our fault because now we're left with an empty board when I could have had Overlord still, which is a 31 beater. It's kind of hard to get out unless he has back row, and at this point in time he doesn't. So now not only do we have to deal with the not having nothing on field, we also got to deal with him having monsters and we don't, and he's probably just going to get reset up and just continue going all of his stuff. So he's going to go ahead, bring out an Anemone, and then brings back the Barrier Statue again. I believe that's an Anemone. Don't quote me on it. Don't know waters that much, I know, I'm sorry. But he brings back the Barrier Statue. Now we got to deal with it all over again. This is what I'm talking about. If I would have left Overlord on board, we would have been in a lot better of a situation. But like I said, I'm still learning the deck as we go. There's a bunch of shenanigans this deck can do that we don't know yet, but we'll learn together. So I use Nunu to send Naya. So in my hand, I believe I have a water lily and a wand. He cuts me up. I can't special summon, so we're in a real rough spot. We go ahead and scoop it up because he had game on board. So game 3 it is. Game 3 it is. We could have got game 2, but I misplayed really bad. But it's live and learn. Live and learn. It's good games regardless. They're grindy, they're fun, and they're friendly because they're against friends. So either way, having fun. That's all Yu-Gi-Oh's about, is having fun. But we're going to go ahead and side it up here. I figured I would go first because I don't want him to set up his traps. Depending on the situation, there's some control decks where I will let them go first. But Paleo, I don't want to because not mainly because of the traps. I just don't feel like dealing with Boss Frog. I do not feel like dealing with Totally Awesome, man. Because at this point, like, my personal opinion, I don't, like, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. Frogs, like, their back row or is just, like, pretty much utility. Obviously, I know that may sound stupid, but what I mean by that is they don't rely on their back row like a lot of trap decks do. Like, a lot of trap decks rely on their back row. But Paleo, their back row is just utility cards that helps out with Boss Frog and stuff like that. So I do not want them to go first, mainly because I don't want them to set up with Totally Awesome and all that. So I don't want to have to deal with that, because if I have to deal with Totally Awesome and the back row, it's really, really hard to play through it if you don't hard draw like a Lightning Storm or a Feather Duster. And then even if you do, you got to hope and pray they don't have a Judgment, because if they do, or they just negate it with Totally Awesome, whatever the case may be. So you have to be aware of that. And like I said, I have the utmost respect for this deck, so I don't want it to go first. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, decide to go first. Go ahead and use Naya to send the Nunu. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Trying to find out if I want to use Nunu or not. Decide to go ahead and activate the Nunu. Normal summon the Girsu, because now I'm locked into reptiles to be special summoned, which is fine. Now I send the Nightmare. Sadly, we don't get to get as far as we want because we have no Snake Rain, but that's okay. We're going to immediately overlay into Feral Imps, which is a reptile, and it allows us to refill our hand with reptiles. So we're going to go ahead, detach. Don't want to detach the Nunu, because if you detach Nunu, then she gets banished, because after you use her effect to special summon herself, when she leaves the field, she gets banished. So you want to leave her attached to the Feral Imps, so when she doesn't get banished when he gets linked away. So I'm going to go ahead and use Feral Imps to add another Nunu. Now we can do a small package of Orcust shenanigans. I'm going to go ahead and use Nunu's effect here to send a dark. I send a queen. Which, like I said, I'm still new with this deck, and I was learning as I go. Which, now that I know, like, playing against Paleo and the interaction with Paleo and snakes, I probably should have sent King, because King would have been a better option if I wanted to special summon King against Paleo, because King's effect is more relevant than Queen's. Now, don't get me wrong, I feel 110% believe Queen is better than King, But I play both of them in the main, so whatever situation may come up, I can special summon one and not the other. And then worst comes to worst, I can always side the other one out. Because there were several situations during my locals this past week that other, like, Queen was better than King and King was better than Queen. So I summoned them whenever I thought one was better than the other. Which there was a couple of duels where I summoned the wrong one instead of the other one. But trial and error, live and learn. But this is where I actually forget to summon the Dragoon. I pay and burn for the cost, send the cards, and I failed to summon the Dragoon. But Eric reminds me, we have a good laugh. Everybody has a laugh, and then I summon the Dragoon boy, Crabbergoon, as my friends call it. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to him. He's going to draw for turn. It looks like he drew top deck of Reckless Greed. And he drops the Mutant Ninja Turtle on me, my guy. And then use the Kaioshin card to go search TT. I believe he told me that he opened up Double Turtle and something else. Normal Summon Barrier Statue. Poke over. Anaconda. This is where I figure out I can get rid of the barrier statue is droplets and get rid of the skeleton in my hand. So now my graveyard is live, and on top of that, it forces his barrier statue to lose half his attack. Now I don't have to deal with his barrier statue. So he's going to set 2. He's going to pass turn. I'm going to ask him to cut me since I searched and all that stuff and dumped. He's going to pass it over to me. I'm going to draw for turn. I'm going to Twin Twister. A top deck Twin Twister, by the way. He's going to Reckless Greed. I forgot to put my droplets in the graveyard. Don't roast me. That's not Reckless Greed. I do apologize. That is Trap Trick. Do not crucify me. I am sorry. He uses Trap Trick. I guess he realized I think he realized midway through the way the chain would resolve. No matter what he searched, it would get destroyed. Either that or whatever he searched he wanted to get destroyed so he can have access to it in the graveyard. I can't remember. So he searches IDP, banishes IDP, sets IDP, and I think he forgot and like mid thing. I guess his stuff does not get destroyed. My fault. My mistake. Oh, it's because I chose the 2 already. Sorry guys, it's been a long day. It's been a long day. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss nothing on both sides of the end here, so please forgive me. So he's going to go ahead and have that set. Now I know I got to deal with that. He's going to pass it over to me. I got a big turtle. Summon the Girsu. At this point, I know I got to deal with IDP, and it kind of sucks. I misplayed my ass off and summoned and sent the wrong card and used the wrong card because I could have played around IDP, but I didn't do it right, so that's my mistake, and it was actually game ending pretty much, almost, but we'll see how it plays out. I think he's just trying to figure out if it sends for cost or not, or whatever the case may be, or his secondary effect, I'm not sure, but he's thinking of whether or not he wants to activate the IDP. which he allows me to send, and this is where I mess up terribly. I send the wrong card. I send another skeleton where I should have sent. I should have sent wand. Reason being is because at this moment in time I already have a nightmare engrave. So my Orcust cards engrave are nightmare and now skeleton. If I would have sent wand, once he used IDP, I could have still regardless been able to do Orcust combo. Because if he would have banished the nightmare, then I could still just use wand to bring back the nightmare. If he would have banished the wand, I could have just used nightmare to send the other wand, and then I could have continued going off. So I misplayed terribly. Like I said, it goes with being rusty with Orcust. So yeah, I was really frustrated with myself on that because after I sent the skeleton, I was really pissed at myself because it was a rookie mistake and I should most definitely not have done that. But like I said, you live and learn, and it's Yu-Gi-Oh. Can't go back on them. I really feel like it would have been game changing if I would have sent that instead, because I could have gained control of the game, made Orcust shenanigans, had my graveyard filled. He had no cards on field at all, and I feel like I could have took game 3. But this is where he just burns himself, pokes it, frog effect, totem, I believe it is. I could be wrong. Go get another frog, discard special, frog effect. This is where it just gets really, really sad and ugly for us. I believe that's anemone. Could be wrong. Special back frog effect, I believe. Send. And now we gotta deal with Toad. Draw for turn. Toad's effect. Special summon frog effect, yada yada yada. Send. So what's going through my mind now is, outside the fact that I'm trying to not let my emotions get to me because I was so mad at myself for misplaying, I'm like, okay, I'll just crash with the Toad. He has no back row, so I crash with the Toad. I don't have to deal with Toad no more. Now I'm free to do Orcust shenanigans and possibly try to pop off. So what we do here is I use Water Lily. I want to clear the board. So right here I'm just counting my snakes, because I'm going to try to summon Overlord to wipe the board. I send Overlord. I have 5 different names engraved, so I can summon Overlord, and then I just want to wipe the board because I feel like I could still push for game if I wanted to. So I poke. Poke for 3,100, and he has another turtle. Very, very, very unfortunate. He proceeds to pop off and do more frog shenanigans. Now we gotta deal with Toad again. overlay, and I'm like, okay, maybe I can still do stuff and just attack over his Ronin Toad. I mean, not his Ronin Toad, but it's totally awesome. He cuts me up, and I'm like, okay, I just need a normal summon. That's all I need. All I need. Frog effect. Yep. Do you, broski? Go off. Make me pay for my misplays. Go off. Wreck my couch. Let's go. Anyways, trying to figure out what I do because daggone bear statue getting in the way yet again. But then again, I don't think I really had much I could do at this point because I could not draw a normal summon to save my ass. So I used Duster, chains, trap tricks, sets of compulse. At this point, almost the writings on the wall, but it gets destroyed regardless. At this point, I think he's just trying to deck thin. Maybe that's what he was trying to do. Maybe the correct line of play would have been to attack over the toad. I mean to crash, but I think I was just trying to preserve life points at this point and try to do as much as him because at this point in time, I think there was 5 to 6 minutes left on the clock. So I was just trying to get his life points down as low as I could to try to make him have to cover that much ground to come back to be able to steal the game. That's what I was trying to do. I was just trying to put as much as I can between us and life points. So he top decks Nib. I think he's trying to figure out what he can do. I mean, he can make another toad right here. I thought he can attack, crash, and make another toad and tag me for game. Because I think at this point I have like 1,800 life points or something like that. I think I could be wrong. So he's trying to figure out what he's going to do. He does exactly that. Crashes. Ends up back to hand. Makes another toad. A normal summon statue. Yeah. It's rough. It's very unfortunate. I think I top decked a nightmare right here. Or not. I set one, pass it to him. He top decks another barrier statue. Oh no, it was a forbidden droplets that I top decked. He pokes me for a lot of damage. And right here, I'm trying to figure out if forbidden droplets will turn off both statues instead of one if I'm turning off one because I didn't know if it was the name or just that card. But found out it's just that one card because it's just that one target. So that's what we're trying to figure out here while I'm trying to figure out. Even though it doesn't really matter because I don't really have anything to follow up with it. Regardless of the outcome of this is a seriously grindy match, and it was it was a really good game. All 3 games were really good. I had fun. Second barrier statue hurt a lot. I go ahead and scoop it up here. I see the writing on the wall because I was just going to pat. Look at this. I keep going, keep going, and keep going. I could not get to a normal summon. Right there. Girsu. And I run pretty much 5, 6 cards that you can normal summon. But it was rough. But it was a good game regardless. Very, very interactive back and forth, as Yu-Gi-Oh should be. But with that being said, I do like snakes and where they stand and everything like that. I like them. I like my build. I wouldn't change it unless I found some kind of spice that I would like. I think you should pick this deck up. It's fun. It's a good rogue contender, possibly. But with that being said, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, night, evening, whenever you're watching this. Drip out. Peace.